Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here. I'm so glad you decided to tune in. What a game it was last night. Gavin Stone, how about him? His first complete game as a professional. And I'll tell you what, we've been telling you about him for a long time. Anybody who's come into contact with this young man in his past history, as far as before he became a Dodgers, back at Riverside High School in Arkansas, and then at UCA, where he threw the no-hitter there against Southeastern Louisiana, which, by the way, last night's game really gave off those vibes of that no-hitter that he threw against Southeastern Louisiana in college. And I know some of the people that have come in contact with him, kind of that smirk, that confident smirk that he gives, that's something that we have seen, or they have seen many, many, many different times from Gavin Stone. So very good job last night. We're going to get into his performance. Also, went to Tulsa on Tuesday night, got great video of Dalton rushing, Damon Keith. Edgardo Henriquez got him from directly behind home plate. Lucas Webb and Kendall Williams got their entire process. Got Dalton rushing, warming up, showing his bullpen drills that he does, and then also Kendall Williams, him warming up, and then some close-ups of him pitching, and then also his action in the game. So got good video of him, Damon Keith, Alex Freeland. That's going to be the vast majority of our Down the Farm today. I'm a little bit displaced. We do not have electricity. We had big storms on Tuesday night, actually, while I was in Tulsa. Knocked out our electricity. Probably going to be out all the way through Saturday. So I'm on all of my mobile units. I was hoping to have Coach Holt today, but he had to go and actually meet with some of his high school friends, and said I wasn't able to get my mobile unit working the way that I wanted to, so we just punted that deal, and here I am. And so if I seem a little bit disjointed, I apologize for that. I'm going to do my best with all the notes that I have. Did sit down and watch the game last night in our hotel room and had a good time and did all the normal show notes, preps, and all that. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I hope you enjoy the Down the Farm. We are going to touch on some AAA stuff with Ryan Ward and then also Austin Gothier, but it's going to be mainly focused on my trip to Tulsa. Lots of video again on Edgardo Henriquez, Alex Freeland, Dalton rushing, Kendall Williams, Lucas Webb, those kind of guys. Okay, so how about the game last night? The thing about the game last night was you only went 1 for 7, I believe it was, with runners in scoring position. But the old saying, we talked about it with Coach Holt on the last show, pitching, defense, timely hitting. Now you say 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position isn't timely hitting, but it is taking advantage of your opportunities. So call it what you want, semantics. Taking it. The Dodgers didn't have very many scoring opportunities at all last night. They just scored the crooked number in the third inning. They had the home run from Shohei-Ohtani, who, by the way, got a cutter, and we're going to get into that with Gavin Stone. When you throw as many cutters as the Dodgers saw last night, the cutter's a great pitch I talk about all the time because it provides late movement. Gavin Stone threw that cutter last night, and what he was doing is he was starting it. His tunnel point was like on the edge of the strike zone, and then it would have that late subtle movement. So he had almost 60% swings on cutters that were actually did not end up in the strike zone. That's one of the reasons why he was able to get so much weak contact. The average exit velo for Gavin Stone last night on his cutter was less than 90 miles an hour, which is very good. So that cutter is a really great pitch if you can do like Gavin Stone did time and time again, and the sinker as well, where you can start on the periphery and then subtly move it off the plate, get swing and miss, which creates soft contact. But the dangerous part of that cutter is that it's not a high, big breaking pitch. It doesn't have a whole ton of big, long movements to it. So the thing is if you don't get that late movement, then you get what you saw with the Shohei-Ohtani home run, and it just becomes a bad fastball. It becomes a 92, 93 mile an hour fastball that is all over the center of the plate. And when you do that to Shohei-Ohtani, if you throw a cutter to Shohei-Ohtani and it becomes a cement mixer like the one he did, like the one he hit last night became, then he's going to hit the ball over the fence. Shohei-Ohtani, he is just simply incredible. By the way, let's back up. The Dodgers now are 51-31. They have an 8.5 game lead in the NL West over the Padres, 11 games ahead of the D-backs, and 11.5 over the Giants. So all is good on the NL West. I say it all the time, too. I do think there are holes. Now, I think the Dodgers can win a World Series. If I look a little bit darker than I normally do, I apologize because, again, I am in a house that has no electricity, and I'm doing my best. So if there's a shadow behind me or any of that, please ignore all of that. So Shohei Ohtani, just simply incredible as far as the type of year that he's going to have. He's I know this has been, I won't touch a whole lot on this because there's a whole bunch of coverage on this. A good chance he could win the Triple Crown. Right now, as we speak, Ohtani, he is first in home runs. He is first in slugging, first in RBIs. His average is 322, and he has 25 home runs. So simply remarkable. And the thing about him, and this is just my opinion, but this is just the way I see it, it's going to be interesting when Mookie Betts does get back. Because, yes, he obviously has the 25 home runs. The slugging percentage is just simply fantastic at 643. But I honestly think Shohei Ohtani, in his mind, he has a table setter approach. He likes to hit line drives to the opposite field. He has that Ichiro club in his bag. But more so than that, he just likes to go gap to gap. He likes to get on base. He likes to use his speed. And just because he's so big and so powerful and so good, there's several different times that he hits the ball so hard that it does go out of the park. But I think just first and foremost, he thinks like a table setter and has a table setter type approach with slugger type results. It's the best of all worlds. So being in the leadoff, I think he thinks like a table setter. And then that relaxes him. That gets, it's like staying within your game. You're comfortable within your game. I think that totally gets him within his game versus putting him in a run-producing setting and then also adding some table setting to it. I think him being in a table setting, if you will, and then also adding run production to that, I think that is the best version of Shohei Ohtani. And I think we're seeing that remarkable that a guy that is DH only is probably the front runner to win the NL or the NL MVP and all of that. Triple Crown candidate, definitely. And so Shohei Ohtani, just simply amazing, whatever role you put him in. But I love the role he's in right now. Freddie Freeman only got the one hit, but it was a double to cap off that 3 spot. So the thing about it is, when you're kind of playing offense like the Dodgers have lately, it's about taking advantage of the opportunities that you're given. That's the timely hitting part of the pitching defense and timely hitting. Take advantage of the opportunities you had. Dodgers didn't have very many opportunities, but when they did have the opportunity in the third, they struck, and they struck for, they bled that turnip dry, man. They got every inch of run production out of what offense the Dodgers did play last night. And so because of that, whenever you have great pitching, that's another thing about it. When you have guys like Gavinstone, Tyler Glasnow, James Paxton, pitching gives you courage. That gives your offense a chance to have nights like that, to figure out, okay, well, maybe all we need is one inning where we score 3 runs. Well, maybe all we need is just one cement mixer thrown to Shohei Ohtani, and our pitching is going to take us home. So the pitching, defense, timely hitting thing, that absolutely 100% works. So it was a night last night to where, as a baseball purist, I love it. I love to see the Dodgers win games like this. It's so important that if you get in a playoff scenario, big game scenario, to where the pitching is good, you're not going to hit a ton of home runs, can you capitalize on the opportunities you've been given? Now, the Dodgers did have another couple opportunities. Miguel Rojas bunted for a base hit and was a leadoff hitter. Also had a double and got in scoring position, didn't score him there. So there were some opportunities you didn't cash in on, but you bled that third inning dry, and because of that, you're able to ride that one to the finish line. And because of that, you're able to win a game last night because, again, Gavinstone was just simply that good. So let's talk about Gavinstone. I've said it many different times that what has made Gavinstone so much better this year is obviously that he's gone back east and west more. But if you look at the first inning he came out throwing his four-seam, he came out throwing his changeup. And then he comes into the second inning, Gavin Sheets gets the base hit, and then he pivots. He then becomes more of a sinker, cutter, / slider pitcher and starts moving the ball sideways. So here you go. You're a hitter. You go back to your dugout, and, of course, everybody's asking, hey, man, what's he look like? What's he got? And you go, oh, well, the four-seam looks like this. Oh, well, the changeup looks like that. And then all of a sudden, these guys are taking in this information. They see Gavinstone this first inning, and then instead of getting the four-seam and the changeup, they're getting the sinker and the cutter and the slider. So he is able to attack lineups, even from inning to inning, but definitely each time through the lineup, he's able to sequence in different ways, and he's also able to execute that to keep it fresh and to keep hitters from saying, okay, well, I'm going to get a cutter, I'm going to get a sinker. This is what it looks like. I have the advantage now. Hitters can't do that against Gavinstone because he can change the way that he looks on a pivot like he did in the second inning. And another thing about that is that Austin Barnes, I'll tell you what, we talk a lot about him. He's not a great offensive player. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's throwing shade to say that right now he's not a very good offensive player. I get it. He got a hit last night. That's good. I understand all that. And I also will say this, and I've said this many different times, he was one of my first players that I got to follow and watch when the Dodgers came to Oklahoma City. He came to AAA Oklahoma City, I believe, in 2015, 2016, something like that. And he spent, I think, at least 2, maybe parts of 3 years kind of bouncing up and down between the big leagues and AAA Oklahoma City. Then he got to come back in 2019 whenever he had all the offensive struggles. I got to see that part of his grind. So personally, on a personal level, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Austin Barnes. So from that perspective, I'm sure I have quite a bit of bias. But I can tell you this, and again, we say it all the time, he is a backup catcher. No other backup catcher can provide the value to the Dodgers that Austin Barnes provided Gavinstone and Landon Knack in their last 2 outings. The way that Austin Barnes pivoted Landon Knack's approach from the first inning to the second inning, to the third inning to the fourth inning, from hitter to hitter, to provide sequences for Gavinstone that A, he knew would work against each individual hitter or sets of innings, and B, hey, it's one thing to say, hey, boy, if we do this, this is going to work, but we can't execute it. So Austin Barnes was able to throw together sequences that would beat the White Sox hitters, and then also that Gavinstone could execute over and over and over. That, my friends, is massively valuable to get from your backup catcher, especially when he did it last time Landon Knack, another one of your young pitchers, pitched as well. So in terms of the Austin Barnes deal, he is absolutely his job last night and the outing with Landon Knack, that absolutely provides a ton of value to this club. And so I've said it many different times. I want the merit system in this system. I want the best players that have earned it the most to be on the 26-man roster and to take up all the playing time. Nobody will ever be able to convince me that Austin Barnes hasn't, by leaps and bounds, won his spot, whatever playing time the Dodgers give him, through the merit system with what he's done with his pitchers. When you have a coach on the field that can take over a game like that and bring a young guy home like Gavinstone, like Landon Knack the other night, and that's your backup guy, there's nobody else that could duplicate that for the Dodgers. So as far as Dodgers Daily goes, there is nobody that's going to be able to convince me even remotely that Austin Barnes isn't on the merit system. with this club. So I wanted to go ahead and defend him and get into all of that. As far as Gavin Stone's makeup, we've been telling you for a long, long time. This guy has cool confidence. He's low-key in terms of his emotions, but he's that quiet assassin. Yes, his emotions, it looks like he doesn't have a heartbeat. It looks like his blood doesn't boil. But within that cool demeanor is just an absolute, just vicious, I mean vicious competitor. So when you kind of see that smirk, that confident smirk that on his face when he's walking off the field after he's ended an inning or something that he's done is good, that's the confidence coming out in him. Like, yeah, I knew I was going to do that. That was pretty cool. How about that? What'd you think about that, guys? That's kind of what you're seeing from him, just his confidence come out. So it was just so fun to see Gavin Stone pitch last night. And I've heard people say Tyler Glass now is carrying the staff and all that. Fine, I can't disagree. Hey, Tyler Glass now, I've said it many different times, has absolutely been the ace the Dodgers have needed. But Gavin Stone has also been an absolute rock and an anchor for this pitching staff. And if he's not squarely, first of all, right now as we speak at the end of June, squarely on the playoff roster if it started tomorrow, and probably right now if it went into the playoffs tomorrow and you had the exact circumstances you have right now, Gavin Stone has to be your game 2 starter. And as long as he just continues to do what he does, it has to stay that way. You can trust Gavin Stone that he is going to go out to the mound with confidence. He is going to execute, just like we always talk about Landon Knack. The thing that makes him so great is that he executes. He's going to execute, and if you can get some timely hitting and play some defense, even if it's only 4-0, even if it's only 3-0, 3-1, something like that, you're going to win the game. And Gavin Stone showed you last night that he can just ride it all the way home and go the entire 9 innings. This is not something that is abnormal to Gavin Stone. He did it when he was in college. He's done it his whole life. He threw the no-hitter. I believe it was his last outing at UCA, threw the no-hitter against Southeastern Louisiana. And in my first interview, if you want to go back to that interview, he talked quite a bit about how that was cool that he got to do that and share that moment with his brothers. So last night's game, that's pretty much what I took out of all that happened as far as sitting in my hotel room and watching and just kind of taking some notes and diving in to everything that happened. So, hey, that's our show for the Los Angeles Dodgers today. Don't forget, we have the Down on the Farm segment coming up right after this. So with that, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right to it. And let's take a trip down the farm. So we're going to start our Down on the Farm segment here. This is Edgardo Henriquez. My camera actually ran out of batteries at this time, so I had to take it with my phone. So it's not quite as sharp as it normally is with my normal camera, but that's okay. You get the gist here. This fastball that you're seeing here, look at that slider right there. Let me back that up and show you that slider one more time as far as the way he threw that pitch, because I'll show you this. Watch this slider coming. That one right there. That is 94 miles an hour. 94 miles. I'm assuming it's a slider, breaking pitch, whatever you want to call it. It's not a cutter because that thing has serious depth. That slider there, 94 miles an hour. Now, he didn't land it, obviously. That one there, another 94 mile an hour slider. That fastball there, 102.4. When I was sitting, there's another slider at probably 92 to 94, another slider there. When I was sitting behind him, directly behind home plate, this is like 9:30 at night, and Oklahoma we had the lightning in the background, and we had all the storms coming in. It was like majestic. It was like, I'm watching like something I've never seen before. It's very odd, very rare when you're in the game for, almost 50 years and you do something with the one thing I love about baseball is that it gives you something to do every single day, basically. There's something you can do, and here's a little bit better picture, I think, probably, of Henriquez here too, warming up. You can do something with the game of baseball every day. It can occupy your time. And so having said that, it's very rare when you get into the game like for half a century that you show up to the park and just literally get to watch something that you've never got to watch before. You know, like you see guys throw 100 miles an hour. Billy Wagner was the first guy I ever got to see with my own eyes. You see nice sliders. Never with my own eyes have I seen 102.4 and 94 point whatever it was on a slider. That's just simply amazing. Edgardo Henriquez, when you watch him and Dalton Rushing together, it is super impressive. I was so happy that I got to see him. I'm going back tonight, as a matter of fact. We're going to stay in Tulsa in a hotel because we're out of electricity. Going to take the dogs with us, and my beautiful bride of 25 years is kind enough to watch the dogs while I go watch the Tulsa Drillers play some baseball. So how about that? That's going to be a lot of fun. So Edgardo Henriquez, 102.4, slider hit 94, and you got to see it from directly behind home plate. So here's another guy I was super excited about getting to see, Ronan Kopp. The guy that I comp the most, of course, most people think he looks like Madison Bumgarner, and he definitely does, both with just his appearance and kind of his delivery and all that. But to be honest with you, the guy that I comp him with, I actually had this question asked today on social media. Who does he comp the most to? That was actually a foul ball, not hit very hard. It looked a little bit worse than it was there on video. Who does he comp the most? That's a nice little cutter pitch from Ronan Kopp. I comp him to Andrew Heaney, the guy, the pitcher, if we remember, the Dodgers fans really remember, came to the Dodgers a couple of years ago and had a really nice season, capitalizing on that, and now he's with the Rangers. Went back home to the Rangers. He grew up in Oklahoma City, and so that's about 3 hours away, maybe 3.5 from where he grew up. That's a good situation from Andrew Heaney. Got to see Andrew Heaney all the way back to high school. Actually got to coach against him. Unfortunately, very good friends with his high school baseball coach, Jim Drummond, who, by the way, retired a couple of years ago. Congratulations, Coach Drummond. What a fantastic, look at that emotion right there, that excitement. And the excitement you're seeing there, I'm going to explain that here in a second, of Ronan Kopp. But Andrew Heaney is the guy from just a physical stature, yes, but more so just kind of a mechanics perspective and the way that he attacks hitters and gets them out with the gangliness. Now, if you're to ask me what's the one thing that's going to get him in the trouble the most at any professional level, but certainly a major league level, especially the way the game seems to be evolving again, that would be, you see this big leg kick? Look at that right there. That, you want to be about 1-3 to home plate. He's way above 1-3. So I do worry that at the major league level, even being left-handed and even with that pickoff move, that illegal pickoff move that lefties can make to first base, I do worry that teams are going to steal a lot off of him. But one thing that really, really, really stuck out to me, his competitive edge. Okay, so you can see he's throwing his cutter here. He's throwing that four seam, that one right there up in the zone. He's doing a really nice job making some really good pitches. Give the Amarillo Sod Poodles credit, though. They put some really nice balls in play. Got a couple of hits. They found grass at the they just kind of one of those deals to where, like right here, just that's a good play by Ty. That actually ended the inning on a double play. But they actually loaded the bases with one out, and Ronan Kopp just absolutely buckled down, got a ground ball, got that double play to get out of it. So his competitive element, when he got into that bases loaded scenario, kind of like we talked about with Peyton Martin in our last show, really kicked into gear. So I really, really enjoyed seeing Ronan Kopp pitch with my own eyes from directly behind home plate for the first time. You got to see it right here. So another guy that I was super excited when, you're looking the pin. Of course, I'm in the stands, and the pin's a long ways away. I don't bring my binoculars to the game. And again, this is from my phone, not my camera, so it's not the most unbelievable of, as far as, there's some pixels in this picture. I get it, but you can get the gist of what Lucas Webb looks like. But when he came out of the bullpen, I was like, oh, heck yeah, I get to see Lucas Webb. So I got to see Kendall Williams, Ronan Kopp, Lucas Webb, and Edgardo Henriquez all in the same night, man. That was a pretty darn good night. Look at that four-seam up in the zone. There's another one there. Lucas Webb, I'll tell you what, Dalton Rushing, we talk about all the time, super, super competitive. He makes sure that his pitchers are in compete mode at all times, and he lets his pitchers know, hey, you have the easiest job on the field because hitting is the hardest thing to do in baseball. So if you just throw a strike, even if it's a bad pitch, you have a 70% chance of recording an out. So you have an easy job. So the easiest job, I should say. It's not an easy job. So let's take advantage of those odds. Dalton Rushing reminds us pitchers of that all the time. And then also another thing he does is that he just breathes fire into them. I'm telling you, man, he breathes fire into his pitchers. Don't have to at Lucas Webb. This dude, from when you get to see him in person, you get to truly understand just how competitive this young man is on every pitch. We started talking about 2 years ago how competitive Bobby Miller is when he pitches and how he sometimes wears his emotions on his sleeves. That is Lucas Webb. Lucas Webb is pissed every time he makes a mistake. He expects perfection out of himself. And when you take together that herky-jerky windup with a fastball that is quickly approaching the high 90s, you look at that lower half, his legs and his butt area, how he added great weight to that part of his body. I am super excited about Lucas Webb. He's had one of the greatest years. I know we mentioned the last show, Bruce Kuntz put him on one of the bullpen arms that you need to be taken note of because he's really blasted onto the scene. That is Lucas Webb, so there you go. So this is Kendall Williams. This is the starter right here. This is back. You can see my camera. Video is quite a bit better than my phone video. This is coming from my camera. I just kind of wanted to show you what a minor league or professional pitcher goes through. This is probably about 45 minutes before the first pitch is thrown. You see him warming up a little bit. Then you see him throwing his long toss. So what guys do, whatever routine, you see the two-step routine there for him. You go back and you play the long toss to stretch your arm out. Then as you work your way back closer, if you look to the left there at that pitching coach, that is Darren Olinger right here. That's Darren Olinger. He's the guy that I've talked to a couple of times that's done such a wonderful job of explaining what all these pitchers are. And so as they move back in from their long toss, they start throwing harder and harder and harder. Then they go to their bullpen that you saw, and then they start warming up here. That is that slider that Kendall Williams. I tell you what, he struggled with the strike zone early. This home plate umpire had a very, very, very tight strike zone, so he had to bring the ball over the middle of the plate, which for a guy like Kendall Williams that throws at 92, 93 is not a good setup. He kept pulling his slider and the split change. It was hard to tell from the stands. He does such a great job of being deceptive with that split change. It's hard to tell the difference between the two because sometimes one will pull left and you don't know which one it is and that kind of thing. But Kendall Williams, he struggled a bit with the strike zone early, and then, not going to lie, he pulled a couple of pitches. I will say this, for a guy that relies on feel with a split finger and the slider and that kind of thing, like we said, because he doesn't throw it 1,000 miles an hour, the humidity was like 2,000%. Matter of fact, the humidity was so big that we had big-time storms that knocked out all of our electricity in Oklahoma. So to grip the baseball, hey, he probably threw out, I would say, 25 baseballs in his 3 innings. And so it was a big-time grind for him. I enjoyed watching him have to deal with all of those adverse conditions and try to figure it out. You could see visible frustration from him from time to time, but then you could also see him go, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to pitch. I'm going to throw the ball in the zone, and I'm going to shove. And that's what he did as the game went on. So it was super exciting to watch Kendall Williams. This was the first time with my own eyes that I'd gotten a chance to see him and get video of him. So there you go. The big right-hander with the split change, Kendall Williams. So another guy that I was super, super excited about seeing in person was T.Y. Taylor Young. Got to say hi to him, got to meet him in person for the first time. What a great young man he is. And then got to watch him do this. Taylor Young had 3 hits last night. This is actually from the Tuesday game. Had this double on Tuesday, 3 hits last night. He stole a base. He drove in 5 runs. He scored twice. Rumor has it, if you go to my social media, I posted this. Rumor has it is that he mowed the grass. He cooked the pregame meal, which, by the way, would be jumbo. He's from West Monroe, Louisiana, right? And then he hit all the fungos, and that he's going to drive the bus on the next road trip. That's kind of the type of player that Taylor Young is. He's just absolutely a baseball player. He is a dog, all-time hits leader from Louisiana Tech. Super excited to get to meet that young man and then watch him do this right there. That a boy, T.Y. So Damon Keith, when you meet him, the first thing that's going to stick out to you is how big he is. The lower half of his body is literally like a tree trunk. I mean, this dude is massively strong. So I kept wondering, of course you can tell on video, but this was the first time I ever got to meet him in person. Kept wondering, okay, there's a nice hit, Damon. That a boy. Kept wondering, hey, where are these massive exit velos coming from? But if you watch his swing here, watch how he gets into his legs when he swings. And that's a good thing because his legs are so big and so powerful. And so that's where he gets his massive exit velos, from his strong lower half that he uses with his swing. See how he sits down in his lower half and into his legs here and really uses them right there to generate that type of exit velo. So notice that one right off the bat. And then two, also wanted to point out that, yes, he does have exit velos. So if the bat to ball skills improve, he does a lot of that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He swings and misses quite a bit, and that leads to sometimes periods of offense that I'm sure he would say he's not totally fired up about. So if the bat ball skills become a little bit better for Damon Keith with the exit velos that he's able to put together, combined with his very, very, very good speed. One of the things I did ask him about that in our interview. He said one of the things that his teammates do, because he does have such good foot speed, is they give him a little bit of hard time because he doesn't steal enough. So that may be part of his game that he tries to start incorporating into a little bit more as he goes on. But got to get on base first. So get the bat to ball skills a little bit better. All of the tools are there. This guy has big time tools. So hopefully Damon Keith continues to put it together at the minor league level. Super excited to get to meet him, get to talk to him, and watch him in person. So Damon Keith with a base hit right there. Nope, that's a swing and miss. But right here, we're going to sit and watch this last base hit right there to the opposite field. That a boy, Damon. So the guy we're going to end it with right here, we've talked about all year. There is a left-handed swing and there is a right-handed swing. Alex Freeland, super talented young man. Very, very good athlete. Talk about it all the time. How he had 31 stolen bases last year. He's on a very good stolen base clip this year. Has a chance to be a 30-20 guy or 20-30 guy. Outside chance at 20-40. So very super excited to see Alex Freeland swing from both sides of the plate and run. One thing that really kind of stuck out to me, you have switch hitters and you have switch swingers, right? Most guys that are switch hitters, they are very dominant from one side and they just do it on the other side but aren't nearly as good. Look at these swings, though, and I put them back to back, only two swings for one. Look, there's this left-handed swing. Now watch his right-handed swing. They are literally identical. His left and right-handed swings that you could, like, if you didn't know who he was, and you're like, I sat next to a scout in the Angels system at this game actually and talked to him quite a bit. If he didn't know who Alex Freeland was, then he wouldn't be able to tell if the left side or the right side was the more dominant side. That's really the thing that I came away with Alex Freeland. So super fun to get to watch him play.